So in this video, I want to share with you an absolutely life-changing realization that I've had recently. And that's that anytime you're feeling anxious or a little bit weird or physically uncomfortable in social situations or before public speaking, something like that, that tightness in your chest, that stiffness in your body, those things we would typically associate with social awkwardness. And I know all of those things very well, because for a long time I identified as socially awkward. The reality is, all of those feelings, that does not come from awkwardness. It doesn't come from you being introverted or shy. The root cause of all of this, and hear me out because some people are just going to dismiss this. It's not awkwardness. It is negative experiences from childhood. Memories that you've repressed deeply. You've tried to bury them. Yet they're still coming up to the surface and causing you these anxiety symptoms. And I know not everyone will respond to this idea, but at least be open to the possibility. Just hear me out. Because I think that for 9 out of 10 people who are self-identifying as awkward, who call themselves an awkward person, I actually think this is the real cause. And since I became aware of this, I'd honestly say my anxiety in social situations has been halved. It's improved so much. And I'm going to share a few exercises with you in this video that are hopefully going to achieve the same result for you. So why is this important to me? So generally I identify as a confident person. I can handle my own in most social situations, and that took a bit of work to get to. Especially in one-on-one social situations, I feel like I'm good. I am still quite an introverted guy, but I can handle myself. Except for certain situations, particularly social situations or public speaking, where it feels like I am the center of attention, where suddenly I become aware of everyone watching me. And that's where all of these awkward behaviors start to kick in. So I'll give you an example. So a few months ago, I'm starting in a new team. I'm changing departments at work. And this team invite me along to this meeting so I can get to know all of them. And imagine I'm in this room, I'm sat at this big table, big round table with imagine there's 18 people all sitting around this table. And the boss says, right, everyone introduce yourself to Tom one by one. And then Tom can talk a little bit about himself at the end. And imagine, because this is going to be very triggering for a lot of people. I don't blame myself for getting nervous in this situation, but imagine every single person, one by one, is going around the table, saying their piece, and then moving on to the next person. And throughout all of that time, I'm aware that as it's getting closer to me, it's getting closer to me having to present and talk about myself. It's like that feeling of pressure is building up, I'm gonna have to talk in front of all these people. All of the attention's gonna be on me. So by the time it gets around to me, the boss says, right, Tom, take it away. And that's quite a big thing to live up to just talk freely. I mean, most people just suck at talking about themselves anyway, but imagine I suddenly have 18 people all looking at me. And I start talking and I swear to God, I've never had anxiety this bad in my life. This felt really significant for me. I have unreal tightness in my chest. So when I go to actually speak, I kind of squeak a little bit right at the start. And I start talking and this has seriously never happened to me. Feels like my vision just starts to narrow. It starts to narrow. Imagine I'm having insane butterflies in my stomach and my vision starts to narrow. And I'm talking, but gradually as the minutes go by, it's I can't even hear my own voice. It's it starts to turn into white noise. never had this before. Like, I had to just kind of like pause for 10 seconds midway through my speech to just catch my breath. And I kind of like snapped back to reality a minute, and I'm like, oh yeah, like I'm supposed to be talking right now and everyone's looking at me. And I managed to like finish, I kind of give like some half-hearted like attempt at the rest of my speech. And then we move on, and eventually I leave that meeting. But afterwards I'm like, fuck, like I think I actually just had like a minor panic attack. And I've never had like a proper panic attack before, like not that I know of until that time. But since then, I think I've just been carrying these like lingering anxiety symptoms in those kinds of situations, like social situations where everyone's looking at me, or before I have to go and do like some public speaking. All of those feelings, those same feelings inside, those feelings of discomfort, and like everyone's watching me, they all just start bubbling up to the surface. So the cause of this that I found, I found out about it in an indirect way. So I get coached for YouTube to help me with my productivity, to help me come up with video ideas and that kind of thing. And I've kind of been in a bit of a rut lately as far as like ideas and actually just getting content out. I'm finding it a bit of a struggle right now. And my coach opened me up to this idea. And the problem I was having was, you know, sometimes I just feel like I'm procrastinating. I'm not just getting on with the writing or the recording. And he said to me, like, instead of viewing it through the lens of like procrastination, he said, I want you to think about this, Tom. What subconscious fear, what fear do you think you have of like actually making videos? And I kind of like thought that's kind of a weird question at first. Like, what does he mean fear? Like, I'm just sitting at my desk writing videos. And I said, I don't really know what fear I have, but there's times when I sit down to write. Super weird. I sit down to write and I actually feel anxious. I feel like my body feels tense, kind of going into fight or flight mode, which is weird because, you know, I'm not in any danger. I'm just sitting down at my desk trying to write. And he says, when you feel that, that is actually a sign that your brain deep down is associating the experience of writing or recording YouTube videos with a painful memory or experience from the past. Because that's what fight or flight is. It's your body trying to protect you from some kind of pain, from some kind of harm. It's like our survival mechanism. And, you know, what I was thinking to myself, like, what harm could possibly come to me just sitting at my desk and writing? And he says, well, that's the point. It's not that you're in any danger now. It's that your body, it's your nervous system, is reacting to something that happened to you in the past, but the feelings of that memory from the past, you somehow associate with like the act of writing or recording a video. It's quite a complicated topic, and I'm only just getting my head around this as well. But he says the root cause, the memory that's typically kind of coming up that your nervous system is reacting to, is more often than not something which is going to be from your childhood. And the reason it's from childhood is because that's when your brain is not fully formed. That's when you're most impressionable to these negative experiences, to those childhood experiences which made you feel really bad, and you end up carrying them into your adult life. And he said that like whatever memory that is, which is kind of stopping you from doing work, which is putting up resistance, it's something painful. It's going to be something which you associate with a negative emotion, something which caused me to feel very negative emotion, like shame or humiliation or disappointment. It could be any of those things. And he says you need to try and identify what that memory could be, or like the general period of time that that memory could have come from. And it's not always going to be obvious what that memory is. But me, I know for a fact that I have I'm reluctant to use the word trauma, but I have some kind of trauma from childhood, particularly from high school. High school was a really challenging period of my life. First of all, because when I was 11, I moved 100 miles south to a completely different part of the country where I knew no one. And within a week, I was starting at this high school. And I got bullied really badly, like absolutely terribly for many years. And I feel like even now, like I'm trying to suppress what happened to me because I feel like a sense of shame over letting that happen to me. And I think because the bullying just felt like it came from everywhere, like it wasn't just one or two specific bullies. There were times when the entire class would laugh at me and it felt like everyone was against me. And because I was so young, like some part of me thinks that's my fault, because that, even though it's not, that's just the nature of like how we interpret these events in childhood. But yeah, it's kind of difficult for me to talk about, but I was also like really introverted at the time, but those bullying experiences made me even more introverted and closed off. I would genuinely, like outside of my friend group who also bullied me, I try and get through the day without like talking to as few people as possible, because there was some part of my brain which associated like visibility and like being seen with those painful emotions. And maybe you're starting to see the links now with like YouTube and getting on with work, because me filming myself now, that's putting myself out on the internet, that's being visible. So maybe there's some like links there, and that's what's causing the fight or flight response now. But I also think that there's got to be like one or two experiences in particular which stand out for me, where I also kind of, I associated being the center of attention, like everyone watching me, with like feelings of shame or danger. There's one in particular, this moment where I honestly don't ever like recall a more like painful experience from like my time in high school. And basically this was when the teacher, like this English teacher, singled me out in front of everyone. And I don't know what I've been doing wrong. Maybe I was talking when I wasn't supposed to be. And he basically made me like stand up in front of the entire class for like the second half of the lesson. So imagine I'm not even at my desk, I'm just standing up at the front of the class. And he made me like write this message down on a whiteboard, like I will not talk when I'm not supposed to, like some real like Victorian punishments kind of thing. I just had to like stand up at the front holding this whiteboard, and everyone was laughing at me. I just felt so humiliated. Like I don't remember a time in my childhood where like I felt more embarrassed or humiliated. And after that lesson, I just felt like physically broken, like the kind of pain that you're just absolutely like hurting on the inside, and your body is like producing a physical response from that because you're like so hurt emotionally. So yeah, I think maybe you're kind of seeing the links now, because there's a pattern there. It's like my nervous system associated being the center of attention in childhood with danger, with humiliation. And I think that's what was coming up in this meeting with my new team. Everyone looking at me equals humiliation, that I'm in danger. But basically what this coach was explaining to me was, back then you felt anxiety. Your body felt that fight or flight response in order to protect you from the danger, like from that emotional pain. And that might have served you at the time. That might have helped you. It might have stopped me getting bullied. Like those subconscious strategies that I developed, they were there for a reason. You know, I felt that anxiety for a reason. It served a purpose. But 5-10 years down the line, your body might still be following those same rules, associating those experiences like being in the spotlight with that emotional pain. But the difference is the danger isn't there anymore. Like for me, I'm not going to get bullied at work. I might feel a little bit embarrassed, but ultimately no harm is going to come to me. But those feelings are still there in order to protect me, even though the danger is gone. Hopefully that's making sense. But pretty much in terms of the solution to this, in terms of some exercises you can do, what has honestly helped me so much is just becoming aware of those patterns. In the moment where I'm feeling nervous or awkward or anxious, just connecting that present day experience to what happened to me back then and realizing that my body, my nervous system, it's scared of a memory rather than the experience that's happening right now. It might not sound like it, but that's just so powerful for me. It's really eye-opening. So basically an exercise that you can do is whenever those feelings come up, those feelings of anxiety, where you're anticipating some kind of pain, you might not get to do it in the moment, but you could do it right after. Write down what the trigger of that response was. So was it being the center of attention? Was it someone looking at you and that caused you to feel anxious? Whatever it is, write it down. And then right after, as a way of trying to maybe connect that to some experience in your past, write down, what does this remind me of? It doesn't have to be like one exact memory, but is there a specific time in your life that this reminds you of? Because I think if I'd have done this exercise right after that meeting, I would have said, reminds me of being in high school. You know, how vulnerable I felt and like just feeling like every little action that I did was someone was going to bully me or inflict pain upon me. It's a good way of like finding where the pattern comes from. So then from there you can kind of start to separate the present day experience from what the actual root cause might be. Then secondly, what you can do is you can reframe the feeling. So you can either write this down or just ask yourself this question out loud and say it out loud. Does this feeling right now belong to me, the current version of myself? Or does it belong to a past version of me? Does it belong to the person who was actually in danger, who was going through those unpleasant things, who was having those dangerous experiences? And then what you can say to yourself is just a way of kind of calming yourself down. Say this out loud. Nothing bad is happening to me right now. My body is just reacting to a memory. You know, the way that I'm feeling right now is normal. My nervous system is trying to protect me, but I'm not in any danger right now. That past experience, it's no longer there. The danger is no longer there. I have nothing to be afraid of. And I actually I was in this meeting, something a little bit similar this week, and I had to do like a public speaking bit, and just knowing that you're going to have to do that, that can freak you out a little bit. But I kind of just muttered that affirmation to myself under my breath. And it helped me realize that, you know, obviously I'm carrying that fear, those like feelings of humiliation and shame from the past, but it can't actually touch me right now. The current situation unfolding in front of me, that's not going to bring any harm to me. Like, I really have nothing to fear. So whilst my body is reacting to that old memory, from like a logical perspective, my mind knows that nothing bad is going to happen to me right now. There's no danger there. So yeah, you can probably tell that I'm still working out a lot of these ideas for myself. This is all still quite new to me. But it feels very raw. It feels like there's something there. You know, there's more trauma that I haven't explored yet. But basically the main takeaway is that your mind has created these beliefs. It's created this response in your body from your nervous system as a way of protecting you. Like, your nervous system is working as intended. The problem is the things that it's reacting to, they no longer apply. You no longer need to be afraid of them because they're in the past, you know? So even just becoming like a little bit aware of that can make you feel so much less nervous and anxious in the moment. It's honestly cleared up like a good amount of my awkward behavior. Like this can like really help you in surprisingly little amount of time. So yeah, that's all from me, bro. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.